This seminar embodies the excellent state of relations between Japan and the UK, and its program amply demonstrates the diversity of the common challenges facing our two countries.
I don't think that the Abe administration as yet has really confronted some of the hard choices which are necessary to deal with some of the micro-level antecedents of some of those problems. Japan needs to get more women into work, and it needs to have more babies, and it needs to be more open to immigration from outside.
To maintain a ratio of working age population to the elderly population, we need to bring, in 2000 figure, we maintain it to 2050, 50 years, every year net migration, over 10 million people per year for 50 years. My point is, it's unrealistic.
The problem of income inequality is particularly important for political reasons, because it leads to a sense that the rich are more powerful in decision-making than ordinary people, because they, in effect, can influence votes, they can influence politicians. So I think that government does need to do something about income inequality by redistribution, but particularly by investing in education.
I think we need to come up with the bigger picture for the long-term perspective. I think the thinkers, academia, and journalists need to have more time to consider the basic questions and come up with a fundamental picture how the...
I think Beijing would say, well, the United Kingdom doesn't really have any place to play in East Asia, and it sees Japan as at least a rival, if not a foe. So really the only way I think that Japan and the UK could work here is through international organizations such as the United Nations, such as Law of the Sea and other organizations, to try to develop a framework with which China can work.
Two areas of enormous continuity have been, in American foreign policy, have been first shoring up democratic free market allies in Asia, and Japan is the centerpiece of that strategy and will remain so. And the second continuity in American foreign policy in Asia has been a pretty consistent strategy of identifying what a prosperous, powerful China that we would support looks like, and trying to be clear about what we will not support. And Japan's hugely important in that.
China and the United States are economically very much interdependent. So the game is not only a strategic competition, but also economic interdependence. So there is no ideological confrontation between China and the United States. Also, Americans have every reason to see China being a moderate, constructive partner rather than enemy to fight against.
As far as the UK is concerned, the answer is absolutely straightforward. How do you engage with America? The answer should be in the European Union, with the European Union, through the European Union. If you can get the European Union together, then you can actually move the USA. If you decide to do it on your own, then you haven't got much chance.
I think the US is still regarded as an indispensable power by many politicians in the United States itself, and probably by many people in Europe and Japan as well. And it's hard to know what is meant by indispensable. It certainly has the greatest military in the world. How useful that is another question. But the dependence of not just the UK, but Europe on the one side and Japan on the other on US security is still the same as it was in 1945 at the end of the war.
Of course, the United States has been perhaps one of the most important partners to the UK to try to defend important international norms and rules. And I think that in the Asia-Pacific region, together with some other countries, I think Japan can be a very good candidate for the UK to become important partner to try to respect and try to defend these important rules.
Riding on the momentum they have forged, Japan and the UK two of the few capable and willing democracies in the world, can and should advance cooperation